So I want to go to Dr. Robert Epstein. He is a guy who we have had on several times. He is a guy that was a Clinton supporter and voted for Clinton. He's from the other side. The other side has eaten him now because he dare cross the line and say, hey, there's something going on with Google and their algorithms. And he has been watching the election, and we've got to help this man raise enough money to be able to document what this next election, what is happening with this next election, because Google, we know they have said, we can't let this happen again. And he's the only one that is in the position to document this. And he is not a fan, I don't think, of either side. He just wants the truth. Welcome to the program, Dr. Robert Epstein.
My pleasure, Glenn. Nice to be back.
It's good to have you. So I wanted just to touch base with you today because we have some interesting things happening. I produced the biggest video the Blaze has ever published. It is a video that has more views on the platform by far than anything we've done in almost 10 years. And yet on YouTube and Facebook, it's performing well, but not like that. We now have two people who have tweeted it, who have gigantic followings, and they can't. One had engagement of 237. They have, millions of followers. I have 2 million followers. I can't get this thing over, 2,000 likes. How do we prove that we're being throttled here?
Well, as you may recall, in 2016, I built a monitoring system which allowed me, with people's permission, to look over the shoulders of users around the country. At that point, I had 95 field agents in 24 states, and basically see what they were seeing on their screens as they were conducting searches on Google, Bing, and Yahoo. So we preserved more than 13,000 election-related searches. 2018, we built a bigger system. We preserved not only search results, but we also preserved search suggestions and answer boxes. 2020, we're going to build an enormous system with thousands of field agents, and we're going to preserve lots of things. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but among other things, we are going to preserve tweets that will document, that will show without any doubt, that will quantify what at Twitter is called shadow banning. And that's what you and your colleagues are running into. Basically, if Twitter personnel believe that you're violating any of their terms of service,
which we're not.
Well, that's very subjective, though, on their part, very subjective. What they do is they can either downrank you, and they admit this, by the way. They can either downrank you so people don't see you because you're not high in any lists. You're popping up very, very low, or actually shadow ban, which means you send out a tweet to your 2 million followers, but your 2 million followers aren't getting the tweet, period, or just a small portion of them are getting it. But we now have a way of actually documenting this, recording it, quantifying it. So we're going to have rock solid evidence in 2020. If Twitter is doing this, we are going to document it, prove it, and we're going to release our findings to the media and to a Federal Election Commission, to various authorities. So we're going to be tracking all kinds of things with a very large panel of field agents in all 50 states, including shadow banning.
So we also are having a problem with YouTube, and it's not popping up the way it should in YouTube. So
it's part of Google, right?
Yeah, it's part of Google. Are you going to be watching YouTube as well?
Positively. We're going to be watching YouTube, many different ways in which, in fact, 5 different ways in which Facebook suppresses material. I'm not even going to tell you how many ways we're going to be monitoring Google.
Don't. Please don't. Don't.
Google is the biggest threat there is to the free and fair election. But I can tell you, I am positive that these companies, if there's no monitoring system in place, these companies are going to go all out. And together, I calculate that they can shift 15 million votes next year with no one knowing that they've done it and without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace.
I'm having real problems getting my MySpace posts to even be seen. No one's looking at it at all.
MySpace is...
I don't know if you can look into that for me, Doctor.
So the scary thing here is that this is such an obvious shadow ban. There's just no way these metrics are even right, and they don't care. They don't care that I'm on the air talking about them doing this. They don't care that you're doing. They don't care. I mean,
well, they don't care. In fact, we learned a lot about shadow banning January of 2018 from a Project Veritas investigation. Mm-hmm. And let me just read you a quote from a former software engineer. His last name is Vadrevu, Vadrevu, about shadow banning. So here's a former Twitter software engineer. Quote, "The idea of a shadow ban is that you ban someone, but they don't know they've been banned because they keep posting and no one sees their content. So they just think that no one is engaging with their content when in reality, no one is seeing it," end quote. Project Veritas interviewed about a half a dozen current and former employees of Twitter, and they all admitted that this occurs. Then Forbes magazine did a fabulous piece. I recommend people look that up, which is entitled, "Is Twitter Really Censoring Free Speech?" Where Forbes went to Twitter and asked these tough questions. And in this wonderful article, they report Twitter's responses. Twitter, like Google, like Facebook, they answer questions about content suppression, about censorship in very creepy ways. Because Twitter said, no, we don't shadow ban, but oh yes, we do downrank. And we make decisions about how to protect, our users from content they shouldn't be seeing.
Right. That is an amazing. It's an amazing quote.
Yes.
I have it here. Let's see. Here you go. Now my computer's screwing.
But no external audits. They will not allow any external committees or to come in and look over what they're doing. They don't allow that, and they will not release the demographic characteristics of the people they use to make decisions about suppressing content.
It's amazing.
That's important too.
Here's a quote. Twitter does not shadow ban accounts. We do take actions to downrank accounts that are abusive and mark them accordingly so that people can still click through and see the tweets if they so choose, which of course no one does, right? Like that's not the way people use Twitter. They don't go, they don't click on the named accounts. And we know this happens, right? This is essentially their own mute feature. I use it all the time. I freaking love the mute feature, but I'm choosing to do it. There's tons of people who are calling me a Nazi every single day that I don't see, but they think I see it. Like they're wondering, they tweet all the time negative things to me, and I'm just like, mute, because I don't care. But that should be something that the user does. That should not be something that Twitter is doing for us.
Well, this is the problem, or I should say one of the big 3 problems. The first one is the surveillance. Second is the censorship, and the third is manipulation. And here we're talking about the censorship problem. And you don't know what you don't know. So censorship is so dangerous because if material is being suppressed, content is being suppressed, how would you know that? And of course, what I study is how these kinds of activities shift people's thinking, beliefs, attitudes, and of course shifts their voting preferences. And it is astonishing the impact that these kinds of manipulations have on people's thinking and behavior and on their votes. And again, you don't know what you don't know.
You know, it's really interesting because I read the New York Times. I listen to the Daily every day, because I want to be informed on what they are talking about. I need to understand all sides of an issue, and I want to see what they are publishing or what they aren't publishing and what their spin is when they do. And it is incredible to me that there are many people who are on the right who don't necessarily know. They'll blame the New York Times for never covering and they will have. But it's the New York Times. It's not the mainstream media. However, the mainstream media in bulk, they don't watch, listen, or pay any attention to what people on the other side are saying and report it as fact or even just this is the way half the country feels. And after the last election, I had a friend come down who was a liberal and paid no attention to the other side. And we told him about all of the different things that had happened in the Obama administration, like the IRS investigation. He had never even heard of it. And so they can report things, but by the way they report it or by the way they downplay it, et cetera, half the country isn't even aware of what the other half thinks. That's a real problem.
Well, this also is a worse problem than any censorship in history, because when these big tech companies suppress material, there's no way to counteract it. In other words, Google has no competition, has no competitor really anywhere in the world. Neither does Facebook. Neither does Twitter. I mean, if these platforms want to suppress material, you can't counteract it. In other words, if the newspaper published, on one side of Pittsburgh wants to suppress something, well, chances are there's a newspaper, something or other, on the other side of Pittsburgh where they're going to bring that material out.
Right.
But you can't counteract it when Google, Facebook, or Twitter suppresses material. There's no way to counteract it. In fact, generally, unless someone like me builds monitoring systems, you can't even detect what they're doing.
Robert, I can't thank you enough for all of the hard work that you are putting through. If you would like to donate, please donate. And if there happens to be wealthy people that are listening right now, please donate generously to mygoogleresearch.com, mygoogleresearch.com. This is a guy who's actually just searching for answers and the truth. It is legitimate research. And right now he happens to be on the outs with the left because that's, who's generally controlling these companies. But he'd do the same if it was controlled by the right. Please donate to mygoogleresearch.com. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Glenn.
You bet.